Hello everyone! Welcome to a new chess video. Today I'm bringing you a truly impressive and absolutely remarkable trap that will leave your opponents with no options at all and in the very worst cases might even leave them in tears. Just yesterday I asked you for 500 likes to see this trap and of course thanks to your fantastic support we reached that number together. That's exactly why today I'm bringing you this incredible and fascinating trap. It's with the black pieces just the way you like it and also specifically against the move e4, which is without a doubt the most popular and commonly played opening move for white. In other words, this trap has it all. Let's take a look. We'll play e5, the double king's pawn opening. You know, the most traditional opening. Knight to f3, attacking this pawn, and we'll play knight to c6 to defend it. As you can see, up to this point, everything is very standard, and most games are played this way. Bishop to c4, continuing with the most common line in the Italian opening. Taet. And here, I'm going to suggest the move knight to f6. I know that many of you do not particularly like this move, perhaps because you are genuinely afraid of this other move here, which is called the fried liver attack. Well, after watching this video, you'll actually want your opponents to play this attack against you because I'm going to show you how to punish it in a way that will leave your rivals thoroughly amazed. So, what should I do? Should I play d5, the most traditional move here? No, obviously, we are going to set a clever and well thought out trap for our opponent. We need to understand that what they're attacking is this point here with the knight and the bishop. So what we're going to do is not defend it and give away our knight. We take this pawn. Notice that it's defended by the knight. So, chess teacher, you're going crazy. You know I always go crazy. But hey, this works because I've won a lot of games playing this trap. Let's look at all the options. First, what happens if they take this knight, right? What happens if we're giving away a knight and they take it? Chess teacher, you're down a piece. What's going on? Well, here we have the strong move d5. Notice that d5, what is it doing? A little skewer on the bishop and the knight. So right away, we'll definitely be getting the piece back, as expected. And here the white pieces have a lot of options. For example, if they move the bishop, if they move the knight, we take the bishop and end up a pawn up, the e4 pawn. On the other hand, oops, I almost dropped the piece. On the other hand, if they do not want to lose this pawn and instead choose to recapture the pawn here, then notice that they have traded their light squared bishop, which is a very powerful piece, for our knight. Therefore, this is a favorable exchange for us. It's true that here they can attack your queen with the other knight while also defending this knight here, but here I simply recommend that you move back and play this very comfortable game for you because it's an open position and you have the pair of bishops. Well, this is all very good, but now we get to the interesting part of the video. Let's see, we take this pawn here. We've seen what happens when they take this knight here from us. But chess teacher, with such a strong threat here, who would take this knight? If they take this knight from you, you already know how to respond. But now comes my absolute favorite part of this trap, when your opponent gets a bit greedy and really wants to win and tries to take this pawn here, for example, with the knight. Notice that now this knight is forking both your queen and your rook. Plus, it's protected by the bishop, so it seems like an incredibly strong threat. Chess teacher, how do I counter this threat? Don't worry, we've definitely got some clever tricks up our sleeve to help us out here. We'll simply move our queen piece directly over to the h4 square, just as planned. What are we doing here? We're making an even stronger threat than our opponent. First of all, what are we threatening? A brutal checkmate. If our opponent actually takes the rook, right? Which of course they won't do, we simply deliver a brutal checkmate. Therefore, our opponent is no longer threatening our rook. That's to start with. Notice that here the opponent has several options to escape checkmate. What's the most logical one? g3. Therefore, I'm going to show you exactly how to absolutely crush your opponent in a truly brutal way when they play g3. Here, the most impressive move is knight takes pawn. You'll see that you're going to have a really good time playing this because you'll win a ton of games. We sacrifice the knight, but we're really sacrificing this knight. Let's look at all the options. First option, what happens if they take this knight with this pawn? Nothing, because we take the rook with check and here we're winning. So they can't take this knight with this little pawn because of the rook, right? What happens, for example, if they say, well, I don't believe any of this and I take the rook? Which can also happen, Notice that right now we've captured 2 pawns and our opponent has taken a whole rook. But then we simply place the queen in front of the king, queen to f4 check. And notice that here a very beautiful checkmate is coming. The king can't move thanks to this knight, they have to block, and once they block, we come to take the rook here with check, they have to block again, and now it would be checkmate. Therefore they can't capture with this one because we take it, and they can't take the rook because we deliver checkmate with the queen over here. But what happens if they capture with this pawn here? Is everything lost? Careful, not everything is lost. Sorry, this bishop is here, just so I don't forget, okay? This is how it is, alright? And what happens if they capture with this pawn? So we simply give another check right here in the center of the board. Check. And notice that now they might try to come here to connect the queen with the rook, and then we wouldn't be able to take the rook. However, we have an absolutely and completely winning bishop move indeed. Bishop to c5, check. And now at this point, the king has to go back. Once it goes back, it stops connecting the queen with the rook. So now in this position, we're able to capture with check. The king has to move, and we can even bring in the knight with check, and this king has to keep running. I suppose it won't want to step into the bishop's discovered attack, so it'll go this way, and therefore, no matter what it does, we'll take the queen. We have an extra queen, an extra rook. At this point, if you can't win from here, if you don't know how to win this already, then you need to practice a bit more, okay? Pay attention, because I'm going to show you a move that people play against me a lot, and it can be punished in a brutal way. First, we capture here. They hit us with a fork, and now, what do we have to do? Well, bring the queen into the attack. Do you remember? Well, at this point, a lot of people, perhaps more than you might expect, play the surprisingly bad move. Queen to f3. They think that by doing this, they're reinforcing here, defending against mate, attacking the knight, but this is a really serious mistake. What they're actually doing is helping us bring another piece into the attack with a lot of force. Look at this, okay? Knight to d5. We bring in both knights. Now we're attacking this queen, and we're also attacking this square right here on the board. If the queen moves away, we'll deliver checkmate. So what happens here? The threats are just too big. There's even a little resource that many people try to find, which is to sacrifice this knight, ours, with check, right? We can take it, no doubt. And notice that they can come in through here, but that's nothing more than a check because we simply move the king aside and then they have nothing left. For example, how can we continue? Now here, the white pieces can castle, for example, and we're going to attack the queen. Notice that this queen can only come here, and with a knight move, for example this one, this queen is going to be completely trapped. See that it can't go anywhere. The best they can do is take this rook and we'll simply capture the queen. So what happens? They've gotten themselves into trouble. Queen to c3, a terrible move. Important, when we play queen to h4, we've seen that most defenses lose. But what happens if, for example, they don't take the rook, they don't play g3, they don't play queen to f3? We've looked at all these options, but there's still another one. What happens if they castle directly? They're already protecting this square with the rook and the king. There's no longer any checkmate. They're still threatening our rook. Chess teacher, what should I do? Well, don't worry, because we have a brilliant move. We sacrifice the knight again. This knight is sacrificed in almost every line. Look, knight takes f2. What happens now after sacrificing this knight? Well, what we're going to do is carefully bring our bishop into play to pin this rook. Look, a pinned piece is one that can't move because the king is behind it. So now what? Well, white is in serious trouble. They have to try to defend themselves somehow, for example, with queen to f3 to avoid losing the rook outright. Look, now it would mean losing the rook outright. They have to defend it somehow. Queen to f3 seems like one of the few moves that defends it. So we have to continue, for example, with this rook here. It's very important. Look, could we trade rook for bishop for rook? Obviously, yes, certainly, but it's really not necessary. Why? Because this particular piece, since it is pinned, absolutely must not be moved. Therefore, we are able to capture it whenever we wish. We simply bring another piece into the attack, and notice that now the attack is even stronger than it was before because we are also pinning this knight to the queen. So we've got them tied up. And when should I trade, chess teacher? Well, when you're forced to, for example, now they actually start threatening us with the queen. So now, yes, what do? We start trading everything. Bishop takes rook, And then when they recapture, for example, queen takes bishop, we take advantage of having brought this rook over here, and now this knight is pinned. They can't defend it in any other way. We're attacking with 3 pieces, and it's only defended by 1. So no matter what they do, whether they attack our queen or something else, we take this knight, and notice we end up with a completely favorable exchange. Whether queens are traded or not, we end up with a rook and a pawn advantage. That's enough of an advantage to win the game. Very good chess teacher. I'm really loving this. But what happens if instead of taking with the knight, they take with the bishop and give check? We haven't looked at that. Well, don't worry, because I'm also going to show you how to win if they check you. Hey, but here I'm forced to move the king. Yes, and we're definitely going to move it without any problem, because right here we're going to set up a truly impressive trap for them. Let me tell you something. Since I know you like these videos, the only way I can really know is by seeing your support. So if you leave a lot of likes, it means you enjoy this video or this type of video, and therefore I'll upload more videos like this to the channel. So if you leave a really good like and I see a lot of support, I'll definitely keep uploading this kind of content daily, and we're going to keep having a great time together. Alright, let's see, we play the king here. We're getting off topic. They can take our knight, we can take the bishop, and notice that now our king is left very exposed. It can be very easily attacked, for instance, with a powerful chess piece such as the queen. But what happens? Here, they only have the knight to attack, and it's not particularly strong, not strong enough to win the game for them. We can hide either on g8 or on e8, and absolutely nothing will happen. I'm going to give you an example and show you a trap you can stop if they try this kind of attack on you. For example, queen to f3 might look like a strong attack, a strong threat. I can't even talk. A strong threat because the queen is coming in and the knight is coming in too. However, all we have to do is move our king back to where it was. King to e8 and nothing happens here. Notice that they might try to come in with the knight, but right now it's defended by the queen. Therefore, a natural move would be d3 to support it with the bishop and the knight. How do we respond to this move? Well, what we're going to do is play d5, forcing the knight to move. Where can it go? Well, it seems like we're helping it jump over here to take advantage of this checkmate, and this is where we're going to set our star trap. We'll play queen to f6, which is not only the best move, but also a brutal trap. If they exchange queens, we end up with a huge positional advantage. Since we control the center, this knight would have to retreat, and we have the pair of bishops. Therefore, we're much better here. However, notice that by playing our queen to the f6 square, we're actually giving away this pawn that is sitting on d5. And what happens if they get a little bit greedy and decide to take it? And they sure do get greedy, especially when we're playing online. We leave a pawn hanging, bam! They take it instantly. Well, now we have the brutal move knight to d4, and now this knight and rook jump is completely unstoppable. There's absolutely no way to stop it. And you, since I caught you, are probably thinking why not? And what happens if I put the queen here? I've caught you, haven't I? See, you would fall for the trap too. That's why you should give it a like too as well. So, let's play this move here for example. Notice that we're not sacrificing the pawn because it's protected by the knight. Where can this queen go then? The only place to keep defending this point is to come back here, right? Well then, we have the absolutely wonderful move that I really love, bishop to b4. And we're pinning the queen. A marvelous tactic. This queen can't go anywhere because the king is behind it. It's pinned. And if they take the bishop, which looks like a gift, then we simply jump in over here. Knight takes pawn, check, but it's a triple check. Check, we take the rook and we take the queen. So when they move the king, you get to decide what to capture. I obviously recommend you take the queen. Since you've all been behaving so well with me lately, I'm going to show you a final line that's going to leave you not just impressed, but absolutely blown away. Knight to c3, knight to c6 defending, bishop to c4, we bring the knight to f6, and in the fried liver attack, we take this pawn. What happens when they take us with the bishop, which is what we're looking at now? We simply come here, and after these pieces are exchanged, what are we going to do? Look, for example, as we were seeing, queen to f3, we hide the king, and now, after a move like d3 to come over here, we play d5. You remember this, right? This. Alright, what happens if instead of coming to attack, they go back? Well, I have a fabulous idea for you. h5. We're threatening to play h4, and this knight is now retreating. We're also threatening to come in here with the queen through this path. We're creating some truly brutal threats, so this pawn is basically a gift and it's most likely that they'll take it. But what happens when they take this pawn? They're falling into our trap just as they always do. Queen to h4. Now at this stage we're threatening the knight with 2 pieces, so it has to retreat. And how do we continue this line from here? Well, now we're going to bring the knight over here, threatening the queen and threatening this spot here. The only move, you already know it. The only move to defend the queen at this point is to bring the queen here. And now we bring the bishop into the attack. Notice that we're coming in with everything. There's no way for them to defend themselves. The only move, f3. And now the star move, the bomb move. We sacrifice the queen for the knight. Look at what a truly brutal and devastating bomb this is. Because they can't take this queen, since then rook takes rook check. And when the king hides and moves away from the check, we'll take the queen. See how we've left them, right? With an extra piece after sacrificing the queen, this line is really a bombshell. Now I really hope you absolutely enjoyed this video. Remember, if you like these kinds of videos, leave me a like so I know and can make many more videos like this one. If you don't want to miss our daily video, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so YouTube will let you know every time I upload a new video, and I'll see you in the next video, friends. Goodbye.